How does this win differ from everything else?
Best one. Raiders!
Ladies and gentlemen, the Raiders have defeated the New York Giants at home in Vegas in an electrifying game in which it seems like the Raiders did get rid of the problem for their team. Many people are wondering, what can this mean for the entire 2023 season? Is the season not over, or is the season just getting started right now with interim head coach Antonio Pierce? We're going to break down this electrifying matchup. The Raiders are finally back, and I felt it during my live during this game. Make sure you check out our next live stream for Sunday Night Football when the Raiders face the Jets. It really did feel like the Raiders are finally back, man. The McDaniels curse, that dark cloud, has been lifted from the Raiders. It really felt like it wasn't our team anymore. It was this guy's way or the highway. The players seemed unhappy. The fans seemed unhappy. And ultimately, that led to Mark Davis being unhappy, and he canned that son of a gun once and for all, even though it was expensive, over $80 million. But Denzel Good, a former guard of the Raiders who was eventually let go, this guy's been saying some things about Josh McDaniels ever since he has been fired by the Raiders. And during this game, he said what we all felt, which is, dog, I'm so glad I can cheer for the Raiders again. I was always rooting for the Raiders, but McDaniels made it so freaking difficult. And the man of the hour was Mark Davis, here with Orianthi. One of his previous dates in a primetime matchup, while he was with her walking out of the tunnel, and man, the fans were behind this. Mark looked serious and tough, like he had just done something insane, like he had just pressed the nuclear button. Let's go. He looks serious and tough. Usually it's smiley Mark. Ooh, I got the haircut. Ha, I like PF Chang's. Here we go. But he looks stoic. He looks serious. This looked like an emotional matchup for Mark Davis. This was right before the game. He did not know how this was going to turn out. It could have all blown up in his face. He could have looked like a guy making another drastic head coaching decision a little too early. But he walked strong and dealt with the consequences of his actions, which was appointing interim head coach Antonio Pierce. You have players like Josh Jacobs rooting for Antonio Pierce to do well this year as interim head coach.
I mean, we wanted to do it for AP, man. I think we all came to that conclusion. We all sat down and was like, man, no matter how this go, like, we're going to play with everything we got for that man, just because, the position he's in, and however it go, he's going to be the face of the ridicule. So we wanted to go out there and play for him.
It really does seem like this interim head coach might be the right guy for the right moment. The scheme is still in place that McDaniels implemented. It's a lot of the same coaching staff in terms of people on the offensive and especially the defensive side of the football. It's pretty much the whole entire same operation, besides no Lombardi, no McDaniels, and no Mr. Failed Actor Dave Ziegler. The players were visibly different during practice this week, and during the game it materialized, and you saw it during the game. Raiders defense got 8 sacks in this single game. Nesta Jade Silvera here, the 7th round pick, on Twitter saying Raiders win. 99 is free, perfect Sunday. What does that mean? 99 is free. Nesta Jade Silvera is finally free. What kind of prison was McDaniels holding these people in? Mark Davis really did look like the hero of the evening. Fans started chanting, "Thank you, Mark." No matter how this season goes, I'm sure Mark Davis is happy that now he's popular. Aiden O'Connell did a good job starting as quarterback for the Raiders. He was safe with the football, had no turnovers, no sacks, had some throwaways. I think the only negative you could say about Aiden O'Connell is the fact that he did miss Devontae Adams, did miss Jacoby Myers on a couple of key passes. But you also saw him make some great plays, like a long bomb to Trey Tucker, insane throw. It was literally a 50-yarder. I'm sorry, but we haven't seen Jimmy G do that all year. We actually saw Brian Hoyer do that, but just not Jimmy G. I would have to say the player of the game on the defensive side of the football was definitely Amik Robertson, making some huge breakups, getting a strip, getting a pick. Keep in mind, Amik Robertson is a 2020 Gruden draft pick, so Gruden haters are going to be punching air if he pans out. But you saw players on the defense especially play with so much passion in this game. game like Amik Robertson. It seemed like a weight had been lifted off everybody's shoulders, and you had Max Crosby here hanging out in the locker room, having a blast, smoking cigars. Everybody was talking about the fact that you could smell the smoke and it was a celebration afterwards in the locker room. These guys are literally breaking it down, having a blast now that Josh McDaniels is gone. McD is probably on the couch crying watching this, but he is wiping the tears with his extra $40 million. That asshole literally got paid to destroy the Raiders. And by the way, my film is coming out within the next 48 hours, at least by Tuesday. And it's going to be an hour-long film showing everything that happened in the horrible Josh McDaniels era. And there's a lot to expose, so stay tuned. But my favorite part of this Max Crosby locker room celebration came at this moment when he was hanging out and grabbed Mr. Mark Davis right there. Just win, baby. They look so happy there together. That is the face. That is the picture. When two people get rid of the problem and then reap the benefits of making a harsh decision. Interim head coach Antonio Pierce does seem like the right man for the moment, and he seems like a great public speaker and a guy that can get people to run through a wall for him.
It was rough the last 2 weeks. And guess what? Every door we go into, we're kicking that from now on. With no thanks about it, man.
I do like the tough attitude, but that was interesting that he said right there early on, it's been a tough past few weeks. McDaniels, him around the room being kind of frustrating, kind of knowing that he might be on the outs. That must have been rough because McDaniels is already a headache. I could only imagine how bad he can be when he knows he might get canned at any moment.
How does this win differ from everything else?
Best one. Raiders!
He literally yelled Raiders in this woman's face. Davante Adams only had 4 catches and 34 yards, but that's more than his 1 catch that he had last week with McDaniels against the Lions. And in this press conference today, he was talking about how they weren't perfect, but they were able to run the ball and do things that they set out to do since he's been there, and one way or another, they figured it out. And essentially, he's not concerned because he thinks that everything's going to take care of itself. Like I said earlier, we're going to drop our film and have some more content about the Raiders' future. Now, Antonio Pierce has a huge opportunity to become the permanent full-time head coach with the Raiders. Even though this is a McDaniels team with McDaniels people plugged in anywhere, if they're down, I'm sure the Raiders would want to keep everybody together. I think that's a tough sell and a tough ask. But if they have success this year with Antonio Pierce, and if he does look like he could be serviceable for a team that has great players, then maybe people consider sticking with the Raiders an extra year or so. Who knows? But time will tell, and Pierce has a golden opportunity after beating the New York Giants 30-6. By the way, this is the first time the Raiders have scored over 21 points in a game, and they were the last team in the NFL to do so. And this is the first time the offense has scored more than 19 points in a game. Absolutely embarrassing under Josh McDaniels so far. And then they play the New York Jets. Primetime Sunday Night Football. Going to be a tough game against that defense. But the Jets do have a vulnerable offense. And then you got the Miami Dolphins Sunday in the morning at 10 a.m. in Kansas City. Man, if Antonio Pierce can at least go 2-1, that is going to be huge for his resume and this football team. You would be in a situation where you would have a bye week, an easier Minnesota team, and then you got the Chargers, Chiefs again. That's going to be tough. But then you got the Colts and Denver, which are easier teams, even though the Broncos recently upset the Chiefs last week. There have been rumors, I do not know if they are confirmed, that Sandra Douglas Morgan was vocal in appointing Antonio Pierce as interim head coach. Who knows how valid this is, but we did see her embrace Pierce before the game with Champ Kelly. Champ Kelly, Mark Davis recently said, maybe would have been the general manager if he did not sign up for the Ziegler-McDaniels package. I bring all this up to tell you that it seems like these two guys, Champ Kelly and Antonio Pierce, have a legit shot to be long-term with the Raiders. The Raiders defeated a Giants team that is struggling tremendously. Daniel Jones got injured. Seems like he's going to be out for quite some time. This was a team that already did not have Darren Waller. So it is quite possible that Antonio Pierce got beginner's luck, and maybe the team was just super motivated after getting rid of the poison of Josh McDaniels. But it will be very interesting to see how he does against rock star head coaches like Andy Reid, like Robert Saleh, like Mike McDaniel. If Antonio Pierce can hold his own against these guys, then he definitely needs to be considered for longtime head coach for the Raiders. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. My name is Wi-Fi Willie. We are dropping the film soon at any moment, so make sure you turn on notifications so you do not miss this banger. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.